This is just a short, quick video on how to solve quadratics using the quadratic formula. Now, all quadratics can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And all this means is that there is some amount, a amount of x squareds, there are some amount, b lots of x, and there is also an integer term, a whole number term, which we call c. And we make sure that that equation is equal to 0 for us to be able to solve it. Now, the equation we're going to be looking at today is 6x squared plus 8x minus 8 is equal to 0. And you can see by writing out that equation underneath the general expression there, we can see very clearly that the value of a in this example is 6, the value of b is 8, and the value of c is negative or minus 8. Now, the quadratic formula is given here in the white box, and if you're studying for a GCSE examination, this is normally given to you on the inside of the front cover. And all it does, it allows us to substitute these values of a, b and c into this equation to be able to solve for x. Now remember, normally when we're solving quadratics we would expect on normal occasions to find two solutions. We'll see that that is the case with this formula. So let's first of all start to substitute some of our values in. So the quadratic formula says minus b. Well, if b is equal to 8, minus b must be equal to minus 8. So we know that x has got to be equal to minus 8. Plus or minus, that's what that plus and minus means. It means plus or minus the square root of b squared. Well, b is 8. 8 8s are 64. So that is just 8 squared. Subtract. Now, my advice to you is that I would write these three figures in brackets so that you don't confuse them or miss any elements to this. It says 4 times by a, well, our a value in this example is 6, times by c, which is minus 8. It's very easy during these workings out to start losing or missing out some of your negative signs, so just be really careful and watch those as this develops. And this whole expression then is going to be divided by 2a. Well, a is 6, so 2a must be 12. Now all we're going to do is we're going to start simplifying and neatening some of this up. So we still have minus 8 on the outside, plus or minus the square root of, well, for a moment I'm going to keep it as 64, take away, well, 4 times 6 times minus 8, well, that's negative 192, and that it remains all divided by 12. So we can just tidy this up a little bit more now. We know that 64 take away negative 192 is just like adding 192 to 64. Well, that's 256. So I've still got minus 8 plus or minus the square root of 256 divided by 12. Okay, well, now's a good opportunity to start splitting this into its two parts. And splitting up the plus or minus sign. So we now are going to write out two possible solutions. That x is either going to be equal to minus 8 plus the square root of 256. Well, the square root of 256 is 16 divided by 12. Or x could be equal to minus 8, this time minus 16 divided by 12. And all we're going to do then is just calculate those two values. Well, minus 8 plus 16 divided by 12, well, that gives me 8 over 12, which simplifies down to 2/3. Minus 8 minus 16, well, that gives me minus 24, divided by 12 gives me minus 2. So we can just clarify that x is equal to 2/3 or -2. And again, good exam technique would be to box that or highlight that. Finally, we want to try and sketch our solution. So we've now found out where the quadratic equation will cross our x-axis. It will cross at -2 and positive 2/3. We know our quadratic equation will cross at our c value, and c is -8. So we can mark on here -8. Then all we've got to do is just to gently sketch in our quadratic curve, and there we have it. We have solved and sketched our quadratic equation using the quadratic formula.